Wagwan. It's your boy OP Coach, and I'm back. Yes, boring international break, but yes, we still got to do it. Yes, we still got to do it. Thank you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Give us your thoughts, give us your opinions on the game. Let's get straight into it. Let's talk about England. 3-0, easy, comfortable game. And it's interesting because I felt from that game, yes, England should have won, but I don't think we really learned anything. But that might be a good thing in the fact that, you know what, a lot of these players, because I feel like in the squad, maybe a lot of these players are at risk. And I feel like some of these players, if they don't step up, I feel like definitely when you talk about the likes of Bowen, I feel like he's at risk. Gibbs White, Roger scored a goal. I was saying today is the day that he needed to perform, but that midfield of Anderson, Rice, and Rogers created some balance from there. I think if we learn anything from that game, I feel like them three there in the midfield definitely can work something. Wolves didn't really offer anything. Maybe you would expect them to be a bit more organised defensively, but Carragher before the game said that, like, yeah, these man, if it was a boxing match, England they wouldn't even allow this to go on. So the fact that he was even putting doubt in his team like that, I think that kind of created the atmosphere for the whole game. I think as well, even Thomas Tuchel came out after the game and started getting onto the fans and saying like, "Oh, the fans didn't give enough energy." I just felt like it was one of them games, and I feel like how the fans, especially nowadays, is well known. No one really likes the international break in it, so I feel like everyone's just expressing themselves, saying, "You know what, this international break is dead. We're gonna come out. We're gonna watch England. Some of our favorite players. Probably a little family day. Probably there with the kids. It's probably cold and all of them thing there. So they're just probably like, you know what? I just want to get this over and done with and just go home." But I think Thomas Tuchel is doing the right things. I think he's got them organised. I think now he's got the England players to a place now where he's got them underneath him. He's got control. They understand that he's the man that's going to be leading them to the World Cup. No funny business. You need to do what you're doing to get into the team. And like I said before, I made a little clip on TikTok. You can go and watch that. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms. But yeah, like I said on there, I feel like he's just trying to create that balance where it's open competition for everyone. With the likes of Jude not getting in, Grealish and Foden, like I spoke before. I thought he's just giving the opportunities to other players because, like what a lot of people say, cool, now we're getting a lot of internationals, but before we wouldn't get a lot of international games, so we wouldn't able to see these players a lot, and then they'll just expect to go into a tournament and perform. So he's giving them a nice little run in games, considering that we've got quite a lot of international breaks coming together with each other. So I think it's a nice decent opportunity to give them a decent run of games, see if they're good enough. If they're not good enough, then we know the players that are good enough. But at the same time, we want to get the players that are not really quite performing to the level that we expect them. We all know that Jude Bellingham didn't have the greatest of seasons last season. Yes, the injury was playing up on him, had the operation, come back, but we want Jude Bellingham definitely to hit that high levels. Phil Foden has just come back, problem about his consistency. Can he keep that consistent? We don't want him to get back, playing decent, get back into the England squad and then suddenly go back down. Build that hunger in his belly, build that consistency, and the exact same thing with Grealish. Come from Man City, didn't have a great time. Yes, you are performing well now, but can you do this over a long period of time in a month? And you know what? It's better that we have these players peaking at the right times. You just don't want everyone coming in at the England squad and just doing all this stuff at the right time. But yeah, again, England play again on Tuesday. Rumours that Harry Kane's going to go back into the game. But quite boring game, and no one really wants to talk about this game. I'm not just saying talking about England. It's only really exciting during the World Cup time. But there was a bit of a debate that I wanted to delve into because, yeah, like this one here, I have to be kind of strong on this one because obviously there's been debate going around about this best midfielder, in the Premier League. And it started off with Caicedo. I don't know who said it. I think it might have been either Gary Neville or other likes, but someone high in the football punditry scene said that Caicedo's the best midfielder in the league right now. And don't get me wrong, I feel like Caicedo has definitely improved. I was one of the guys that was criticising him a lot last season. I was like, yes, he's decent, but for me, the problem was his mobility, his quickness of releasing the ball after the tackle, and his attacking prowess. Can he offer more moving forward up on the pitch. But most definitely this season, you can see that his mobility has improved tenfold. He's definitely more agile on the pitch. He's tackling them balls, releasing it a lot quicker. So I definitely understand where the excitement has come from, because you definitely can see an improvement on him. And one of the things I definitely don't like in today's notion, in today's people's thinking of football, is we see someone perform for a year, six months to a year. Suddenly we're putting them at high accolades. Like even something else, I saw people talking about Isak world class. I'm sure I saw a clip on Filthy Fellas about Isak being world class. Like, this is absolute nonsense. This is absolute nonsense. Isak world class. Like, we're disgracing the name when we're calling players of the likes of Isak. I'm not saying in terms of his quality, in terms of good player, for me, not world class level, but I saw someone else saying about it. When you're talking about likes of Mbappe and the likes of Haaland and Kane right now, they're the type of players that you want to talk about world class. We're talking about consistency over a long period of time. Doing it for 18 months in a Premier League, for me, it doesn't cut it. It's not the watershed for me. So when you're talking about the likes of Caicedo, when you're talking about him being the best of the best in the league, it's definitely, for me, question marks about it. For me, like, obviously Declan Rice getting in there as well, Tonali. And for me, I thought that is one player that, and I have to just, obviously, I'll start with Caicedo because I thought that he was the player that he started this conversation. But for me, the question is undoubtable, and I want to understand people's notion. And this is where we talk about narratives and how people think and perceive the game, and what are we really talking about here. Like, for me, the best midfielder in the league has to be Bruno Fernandes. And I do not understand how we are even having this debate, or why Bruno's name is not even brought up in conversation. And cool, hear me out. I understand Man United, yes, my team, we've been performing not the best, and some would say Bruno's been part of the reason why we've not performing. And this is where I want to understand what we're doing here and how we're doing this. Because look, I'm not going to use this as my metric. I'm just using it as a form of understanding as to what people are doing here. So when we talk about the likes of Bruno Fernandes compared to the likes of, who can we say, any of these midfielders just mentioned, we're talking about a player that's got 100, 100 one second, let me find this, 115 goal involvements, 115 goal involvements in 200 appearances, let's just take that in 115 goals and assists in 200 games, compared to the likes of Declan Rice, who's got 7 goals, 7 assists. Then you got the likes of, who else? Caicedo, 5 goals, 3 assists. Then we got Tonali, 9 goals. No, sorry. Yeah. So and then this is where we go into the metrics of this. Let's put the stats to the side, because we know all attacking wise, we know Bruno's attacking midfielder and more. He can do more up front. So when we're talking about the defensive side, we know that Declan Rice and Caicedo defensively better than Bruno Fernandes. But again, we're talking about midfielders. And if we're talking old school, and we're talking about a natural, not even old school, what I would class as a midfielder, and normal standard midfielder is someone that can play defense and play attack. Yes, in this day and age, you have more that are more defensive, more than attacking. Okay, I understand that. Perfectly fine. So we're going straight down to the quality of player, because when we talk about consistency and numbers, Bruno's clear. So let's not use that as a metric, because we're not really trying to do that here. All right. So, and we all understand that the likes of Caicedo and Rice is better defensively than Bruno. I accept that. Hold my hands up. So what are we doing here? Because now, hey, when we talk about Bruno, if you talk about the last 18 months, we have a player that's got 8 goals, 10 assists in the league of Manchester United. Again, we're not using metrics. But again, if we are using a metric in terms of where we finished, 15th to get them numbers as a midfielder, playing in his non-favoured position. So this is where we go into the ramifications of things, of the fact that he is playing as an 8, where people say he's not playing his best, but he's still producing the numbers. And then when the season ended last season, who did we say that was a Manchester United best player? Bruno Fernandes. So What are we in this narrative motion of generation where we just literally base our opinions on narratives, or are we really trying to delve into facts and get to what's really going on here? Like, what's the facts? Because for you to tell me Bruno Fernandes, yeah, is not the best midfielder in the Premier League, it's nonsensical. You got a player that, yes, he's not the best defensively, but me as a Manchester United fan, I've even seen Bruno play centre back. Yeah, I seen Bruno play centre back, and I see him put in a defensive shift. Yes, Bruno throws his hands up in the air. Sometimes he doesn't want to. He makes a wrong pass and he loses the ball a lot. But this loses the ball a lot notion. When you compare his losing the ball stats to most midfielders in the world, it's very quite similar. Yes, you have some that don't lose it more than him, but at the same time, he makes up for that for his creativity in terms of his goals and assists. So there's the balance in this game. You know what you're getting. But at the same time, when we're talking about quality, we're talking about football, we're talking about being productive, and we're talking about producing, Bruno Fernandes is clearly the best midfielder in the league. But then why I really don't understand this notion, because again, 2 years ago, when Kevin De Bruyne was about, we were still having this Kevin De Bruyne, Odegaard, Bruno conversation. All of a sudden, Odegaard's injured, ain't really been performing. Kevin De Bruyne is gone, but everyone's forgot about Bruno Fernandes. And this has to stop, man. This honestly has to stop. But this, especially when it comes to the midfielder debate, I'm not saying that he's the best player in the league. For me, when it comes down to midfielders in the Premier League, Bruno Fernandes is the best midfielder in the Premier League. And I'm just going to end it there, man. Have your thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if I'm just chatting rubbish. Let me know who you think you're the best midfielder in the Premier League is. Because right now, like, I don't understand. But yes, I'm here again. Boring Odes, international break. We'll be back to you next week on Next Generation Baller Show. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that. Lock in on the bell. I'll be back Monday, 10 o'clock. Boom.